Hello, everyone, and welcome to Minding My Mental Health. I am Tanitria Williams, and I have my wonderful, wonderful guest, Miss LaToya Copes. Thank you so much for joining. You guys know what we want you to do. If you are watching this live, please hashtag live and let us know where you're watching from. If you are watching the replay, you won't see the tag that says live up on top. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. And again, let us know where you're watching from. So we want you to be interactive. We want you to share these videos to the groups that you are a part of. Tag a friend. We are talking about life transformation today and having the right mindset and dealing with our mental health as we transform our lives. So everybody give it up for LaToya. I want to give a shout out to LaToya. She has personally been my fitness coach. She's a great, great fitness coach. So LaToya, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining. How about you just start by telling us about who you are?
Well, thank you so much, Miss Williams, for having me. I appreciate this. This is such an honor to be a part of your broadcast, and I'm here to go all in. So this is going to be fun. So a little bit about me. Okay. Where do I start? Well, of course, LaToya Copes is my name. I'm here because I have taken a complete fitness journey, if you want to call it that. But for me, it was a complete life journey, actually. It started off as a fitness journey, but it quickly transformed into something else. And we'll get into that as far as the details and how that affected me mentally. But I am a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a boss. I am the CEO and founder of FabFitU. And all of that was birthed out of my fitness journey. I'm a wife to my wonderful husband, Marius Copes, and to my son, Elijah Dion Jones. And he is a student athlete, and he's taken some tips from his mama on conditioning and just trying to really stay fit with his own body, on the field, off the field, on the track, off the track. He's in football and track right now. Simultaneously, actually. So we are busy. But overall, just here to help women mostly, but I'm here for the men too, kind of, get their life journey going when it comes to their fitness, their nutrition, and what they're trying to do to prolong life, to have a long,
Absolutely.
healthy life overall. So that's a
So
little bit.
last week I actually had Jimmy Beasley as my guest, and
Yes, love you.
Jimmy talked about how fitness has always been such a part of his life, at the forefront of his life, staying fit. And so I said, I want to have somebody who that wasn't necessarily their story, just to give the other perspective of that. Jimmy did an amazing job, but I said I would like to have kind of that different perspective, because sometimes people will feel like, well, I can't relate if that wasn't my journey. And I said, you know what, I have the perfect person. Toya can come in and not just share your fitness journey, because I know I've heard parts of your story, and just sharing about your total life transformation. And I think that's the part I'm so excited about, because anytime you change something in your life, it requires that you change.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the physical health. It's and everyone knows that this broadcast is literally all about us tearing down the stigma with mental health, bringing awareness to the community. And when I say community, I mean the community at large, but particularly or specifically the African American community. I want us to really be aware of taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. So again, I want to say thank you so much. Tell me about your fitness journey.
Okay. Well, unlike Jimmy, it did not start with the day one of my life. And kudos to him for having that be his journey. I think as long as I've known Jimmy, he's always been an athlete. But for myself, Tanitria, I was not athletic. I was not into fitness at all growing up. I really think a lot of this started for me. The light bulb went off, I would say. Probably, I had went through a divorce. Okay. And after that divorce, for me, I was like, okay, I'm working on me, and it really kind of hit me. I had gotten to a space with my weight that I was definitely not comfortable with, the largest that I had ever been, which was actually 311 pounds. Okay. This was a year after I had my son, who is now 15. He'll be 16 in December. So, when I realized, as I'm moving through my home, that my knees were creaking and I was very achy and a lot of fluid setting in, I just knew it was time to make a change. And like I said, I, grew up, I was active in bands and flag line and things like that, but I was not an athlete where I had to, get into a conditioning mode for my body for fitness. But once I got into the place where I realized that there's something that I got to change, and I am no longer in a place where I'm healthy. It wasn't a doctor's report that told me that. It wasn't a bad lipid panel that I had. It was just the fact that my body was speaking to me. And I knew that I had to make some significant changes. My mind was not in a good space. And how I was thinking about myself wasn't in a good space either. So it kind of started from there. I will say that, I suffered a lot through depression. And I want to just kind of make this caveat that depression doesn't always look like people think it should. They have this preconceived notion in their mind that, you may be just on the couch, or you're moping, or, you're not really wanting to be around people. I've been an extrovert my entire life. This is who I am. So I was still doing that. I was still around people. I was still smiling, laughing, going out, having a good time. But there was a deep, darkness within me that I could feel, that I knew was not right, that I wanted to definitely make changes with. And I can say today that I think a lot of that attributed to my weight, and just how I saw myself, how I was looking at myself. And I wanted to make some changes. And so it wasn't easy. The journey definitely was not easy. There was a lot of stop and start for me. I still enjoyed going out to eat. I still enjoyed, having my cocktails and drinking my wine and hanging out with friends. But when I started noticing that I was doing all of these things consistently, and there was no physical activity involved, the weight just kept piling on. And so in my depression, I started to see that, okay, you're gaining weight, and so instead of me trying to lose weight, I go buy a different outfit. I would accommodate the size that I was growing to versus doing something to actually get the weight off.
Yeah.
And then when I started to, do a little bit of working out here and there, I'd walk a little bit, I'd go into the gym and not really know what I was doing, but just do something. In the gym. I'd lose 15 pounds here. I'd lose, 20 pounds there. And then I'd go right back to restaurants and celebrate. Here comes the weight right back on again. So that happened a good 3 or 4 times for me before I figured out that there is something that's got to change. And it's not just the physical part of it. Like, you got to change how you're looking at you.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a spiritual journey, mostly. I really had to get a grip on my life, and I had to get a grip on my relationship with God when it came to, my health. And when I did that, there was a lot of praying, a lot of fasting, a lot of just having conversations with God. Like, I want some change here and I need your help. I can't do this on my own. A lot of people think that I started off with a trainer. I've had people think that I've had some type of surgery, but it really started with me having a conversation with the Lord saying, how can I do this to where it's going to be lasting for me? How can I do this to where it's going to be beneficial, not just for me, but for my son? I had a very young son at the time, and I knew that I wanted to be healthy for him. I wanted to be around for him. I wanted to be able to enjoy life. I wanted to be able to wear whatever I wanted to wear and not have to worry about, shopping in certain, stores, because that's the only size I could fit in. So it was all of these different things that just kind of weighed on me. And to be honest with you, and I've told this story, a few times to a few different people, but there were times in my life where I used to wish that there was a zipper right here that I could just kind of unzip and just kind of walk out of what I was looking at in the mirror every day. Because what I felt about myself on the inside, as far as what I thought I should look like, was not lined up with what I was looking at every day. And there was such a big inconsistency with that I didn't know that I could even get there. To be honest, I did not even know that I could do what I've done already. And so that was another piece. I've always been kind of headstrong. When I want something, want to go after something, I'm going to do it. But this was the biggest journey I've ever taken in my entire life. It was my biggest feat yet. And for me, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? So, when you're unsure about you completing something, you may get real quiet about it. I wasn't talking to people about this journey. I wasn't saying, hey, girl, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to lose me 15 pounds. I'm going to lose me. I didn't say anything. I just did it. And I think that is probably the best thing that could have helped me, because when you start adding other people into something that is a personal journey for you. And for me, it was between me and God. That's how I looked at that. I was like, this is between me and the Lord. He's the only person that can help me through this, and he's going to help me. And I just took it one step at a time. And before I knew it, that one step turned into 2 steps, turned into 3 steps, turned into a commitment. It turned into consistency. From that consistency, I built some discipline. And I stopped that whole start and go process, and I just went.
So let me ask this, Toya, because you said a lot of really powerful stuff already. One thing you said that Jimmy said last week was your body started speaking to you. And he talked about your body will talk to you. Your body will tell you. What are some of those things that your body start to, like if someone says, we say all the time, people will say, I'm still cute. I still look good. I'm still fashionable. I have all of these things. What were some of those things that you can say, my body, these were some signs that my body was telling me, baby girl, let's do something different.
Yeah. Well, let me just start with what you just said. These things that we tell ourselves, that is to get through the day. Let me be honest with you.
Talk about it.
Me telling myself that I'm cute when I'm, 285 pounds is something that I got to tell myself to get through the day. Me telling myself that, because what else do I have? I'm still this size, I'm still large. So yeah, I'm going to rock it the way I can. This is what I got. But deep down inside, that is not really how I felt. Let me speak for me. It's not how I felt. Okay. And just in conversation with other women, it's not how they felt either. You listen, you working what you got, right? But my body was telling me, listen, if you don't change some habits, I'm not going to hold up for you. At 26, 27 years old, I'm walking around with the body of a 50-plus-year-old woman, and an unhealthy 50-something-year-old woman at that. Okay, so I'm walking around with that type of body, and I'm in my late 20s. I hadn't even hit 30 yet. And so I'm like, wait a minute, this is not good. This is not how I saw myself. Coming through high school, coming through college, yes, I was plus size, but I wasn't this size, right? So I had went from plus size and still trying to call it plus size, when the truth is, no, baby, you are obese. And there's something that you got to do about that. Okay. This swelling in your feet, this is not cute. Let me tell you, my friends will tell you, you couldn't talk about me because I would make these jokes about myself.
Which is a coping skill for a lot of people.
Coping mechanism. Absolutely. And that's because I'm like, let me go ahead and say it first, because it could be what someone else is thinking. And so, Tanitra, in that moment, it really was like, okay, body is saying you're unhealthy. Mind is saying you got to get it together. Mind is saying you don't really feel like you say you look. What you're telling everybody else is not what you're really thinking about yourself. And this is before I even get to exterior. This is just interior thoughts. Okay. This is just inside of me thoughts, right? This is not engaging. Oh, well, how are men looking at you? How are your friends were looking at you? What are your family members really thinking about you? This is not even that. This is just what Toya was thinking about Toya. And as much as everybody could say, oh, you've always had this beautiful face, you're just so pretty in the face, and oh, you just have this bubbly personality, and you're so loving, and yeah, that's all great. I'm still that person. But what I saw when I looked at me is not what I saw, what everybody else was looking at me, when they looked at me. So I knew there were some changes that needed to be made. And I was ready for it. I was tired of being tired, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You're tired of the same old thing. And one thing about it, you're a woman of faith, just like I am. We can believe God for so many things. We can trust God for so many
Mm-hmm.
things. And this was one thing that I felt like I could not let go of
Mm-hmm.
and turn over to him for so many years. And it's like that still small voice just hit me one day. It was like, but what if you gave it to me?
Mm.
What if you trust me with this process for you?
That's what I want to talk to you. What was the thing for you that God said that was your next step? And you talked about, you like, he gave me one step, and then it was like, then we took two. What was that first step or that first instruction that set you on this pace or this chart to continue to go forward?
I wanted to live authentically. I didn't want to cover up with a face of makeup anymore. I didn't want to cover up with, just a smile and nobody not really understand how I was feeling on the inside. I wanted to truly be happy. I wanted someone in my life who was going to love me for me. And what I've learned through this process is that I wasn't loving myself well at all. And so if I was not loving myself well, am I going to attract good love? You know what I mean? Am I going to attract the best for me if I'm not being the best to me? That was the biggest thing. And so when I say live, it's not a live, die physically. It was a live authentically for myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. I often tell people that the weight loss was a byproduct of what was happening with me. The transformation was inner before it was ever outer. Okay. So, and when I say that, I mean, there was a whole mental journey that I had to go on.
Absolutely.
I had to do therapy. And I still have a therapist, honey, because let me tell you, that's an ongoing process.
Whoop,
Okay.
whoop.
It's ongoing. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You heard it here first. It's ongoing. So please see my girl over here. But I definitely had to do that because I had to get real with Toya. There's a lot of things that we don't want to be true about. And we can cover up and we can hide and we can mask because that's inside. Nobody can see that but ourselves. But what happens is what's on the inside of you is going to show up on the outside, whether you want it or not. People can see it, whether you're speaking it, whether they're physically looking at you or not. And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, let's do this work. Hard conversations, old past due traumas from when I was younger. Like I said, I went through a divorce, so having to deal with those feelings and emotions again, talking about that, learning who I was. Why did you accept this? Why did you go through this? Those things, you feeling like you're in a place where it has to be this way because either this is what you've seen, this is what you've experienced, this is all you know. And I'm like, I can rewrite this story for myself. I can change the narrative. It doesn't have to be what it's been. I can make this different. And that's what God and I were doing. He was showing me that I can give you beauty for ashes, truly, if you really turn all of this over to me. And for me, that's definitely, I signed up for it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing then is he didn't tell you a physical step in the sense of start walking 5 miles. He told you to trust me with this, and you just started allowing him to take you on this journey. Tell me, what are some of the mindsets that you had to overcome or totally toss aside to become this version of you?
Okay, so I would say the first thing I had to do was stop telling myself what I couldn't do. One thing about building muscle, it hurts. When you are working a muscle and you're trying to build muscle, it hurts. You feel the pain of it. You feel the atrophy of that muscle growing and you're like, oh my God, I'm sore, right? So trying to start a fitness journey, trying to take a walk. I just told you that I would have swelling all the time in my legs and my feet. and my knees would ache. And, that could easily be something that could keep a person from continuing on. And when I would feel those things, I would like, okay, I'm feeling this way, but I'm not going to stop. And I did it in pain. I did it in tears. What it seems so small now to take a half a mile walk, honey, it literally took everything out of me to get a half a mile in. Starting on a track, something that I could calculate. Okay, if I go 4 times around this track, this is a mile. I couldn't do 4 times initially. I couldn't do. I may have gotten 2 laps in, and then I wanted to do some sit-ups. Let me work this core, because I knew that was my biggest problem area. Do a couple of sit-ups, and I'm out in the vitamin D. I'm out in the sunshine. That's making me feel good in that moment. It was those type of things, small steps. But what happened was each day built on to the next.
So I want to have everybody to go ahead and put in the comment section to stop. What did you say? Stop saying what I can't do.
Stop saying what you can't do.
I think that's powerful. And yes, because it translates to so many other areas of our lives. Absolutely. Stop saying what you can't do. So everybody just put that in the comment section. Stop saying what I can't do. What other mindsets did you feel like you had to overcome?
Eating. Okay. Just why was I eating? Okay. Portion control is great. And I tell a person, yes, but I couldn't start at portion control, Tanitra. I had to take certain things out of my diet altogether. Okay. And that was difficult for me. I had to learn how to change my palate. That was difficult for me because I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I love to eat.
So what do you say when somebody says, I don't even know what she's talking about? Because I have never taken something out of my diet. I eat what I want. I don't know if she's changing my palate. I like what I like. What are some, I guess, practical steps that you use to begin to shift physically and mentally in that aspect? Because I think, again, changing your palate can be so, what's the word?
Ambiguous.
I don't know. You can translate that to so many different things. If you are drawn to a certain type of person, sometimes you have to change your palate. If you are drawn to certain types of situations, you have to change your palate. So what were some practical things that you had to do to change? I mean, obviously we're talking about food in this sense, but this whole thing is about mental health. And if you say, I look good, I'm the weight I want to be, but I keep being attracted to the same kind of man, or I keep being attracted to this. What did you do to change your palate?
2 words: self-control. Self-control.
That'll do it.
Self-control. First of all, having a made-up mind, okay, about whatever that is, and understanding that in that made-up mind, it's not going to happen just like that. It's not going to be an overnight change just like that. It's just like coming to Jesus, taking up salvation. You get saved on Sunday. You still got those same temptations Sunday afternoon, on Monday, on Tuesday. Same thing with food. Same thing with anything that you don't have any control over. I was lacking self-control, and I had to learn how to get self-control. Okay. My body got out of hand. My eating was out of hand. Why I was eating the way I was eating was out of hand. And I had to really get deep with myself on those things. I had to figure out, LaToya, why is it that you reach for these foods when you're in this type of mindset? Why is it that you do these things when you're down, or you're feeling low in your spirit, or you're lacking joy, or, you don't feel confident today? Why is this a comfort for you? Because the food's not talking back. Okay. The food is not saying anything negative. The food is not holding me accountable. It's those types of things. And I think it's even more so important to understand that you may, listen, I can go out to dinner with the friends. When I would go out, then I could eat a salad. I could eat, I could pick something healthy on the menu to eat. But I'm snacking when I get home. I could drink a whole bottle of wine in one sitting by myself, just pouring glass after glass, watching a good show, watching some of my good reality shows. I did all of that. And it was like, where's the self-control in this? This is not healthy. And then I go to bed. So there's no physical movement. And then, you're wondering why the scale is continuing to go on, right? So I had to learn how to reverse some of those bad habits. I had to learn how to have self-control over things. So if I say that I'm eating for this meal, and this is it for me, not snacking afterwards was what I had to do. I had to literally cut myself off so that I could understand, okay, Toya, you're changing your mind about something. If you're going to change your mind about it, you have to walk this thing out. Okay. So I had to do that. Another thing that I had to overcome, besides just the nutrition, having the self-control, was those temptations. You're tempted all the time. It could be going to work. They having office parties. They're bringing in potlucks. You got donuts. You got desserts. Honey, and I'm a cake and pie type of girl, okay?
Right.
Your candy, give me them homemade goods over here, okay? And so when you see that, or I go bake my own cake. I love to cook. So, I do those things, and I'm just like, okay, this is not going to be what I need to be doing to kind of get to my goal. Having a goal in mind. Where do you see yourself? It may, and be realistic with that goal. Oh, girl, I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a year. I'm not saying you can't, but that is not what I told myself. I'm like, if I can just give myself 30 days and see the scale go down 10 to 15 pounds, I'll be happy. Okay. Because typically the larger you are going to drop weight fast initially before your body starts to settle and plateau down. And then you have to kick up your routine of whatever you're doing physically to kind of keep that going. Right. So I said to myself, let me do 10 to 15 pounds, setting small goals, being very practical, being very realistic about what I could overcome on my own. That's a couple other things I had to do.
So you talked about, Toya, why am I eating this when you feel this way? Why are you doing this when this thing happens? And I had to become self-aware. And I think that's a piece that a lot of people miss in life.
Or maybe they're not honest
doing what I'm doing. I don't know. I mean, I'm mindlessly eating. I'm mindlessly going through life. I'm doing these things. And so tell me some things. You said you went through therapy. What were some of those self-awareness moments you had through therapy?
Ooh, girl. So in this case, in this regard to the journey, I've always been more of a caregiver, my whole life. And so I have a little brother. Well, we're grown now, but he's still my little brother, right? He's 2 years younger than me almost. So just watching out for him, being the oldest of cousins, babysitting. And then there was a lot of toxicity in my parents' marriage. So just really looking out for my mother a lot. I did that. And what I didn't realize is a lot of that transpired into my adult life of still being that caregiver, meaning I'm giving care to everyone else but me. And what I realized in that process was that, okay, Toya, you're not caring for yourself as much as you are looking out for everyone else, and that just kind of goes back to self-love, I think. That self-awareness, of course, is key for sure. Like, having to figure out, why do you not love yourself as much as you're loving everyone else? And that's one thing that my therapist helped me work through.
That's a hard question for people to answer for themselves, because most of the time they'll say, but I do love myself. And actually it's funny because Jimmy said the same thing last week about loving yourself. And I think most of us would say, but I do love myself. I do those things. So what were some things for you that made you say, maybe I am, but I'm not loving myself well?
I was not loving myself well. You can love, I think. And here's the thing, and you can correct me if it's not making any sense, but love is relative, okay? Everybody's definition looks different, okay? You have people who are literally in toxic relationships that cannot break free from them, but that's love to them. You know what I'm saying? You have people that are in situations, they're plus size, they're overweight, they have horrible nutritional habits or lack of nutrition rather habits, and they're eating bad, and they still love themselves. But no, you can't love yourself well and be heading to a grave. You can't love yourself well and allow someone to disrespect you or to take confidence away from you, to take joy away from you. One thing about love, it's a giving, it's not a taking. And so what I was doing was taking away the thing. I'm thinking I'm giving myself pleasure in these ways. But what I was doing was taking away my voice, because it makes you hide. You're not being authentic to yourself. The people can't see the true, genuine you when you're hiding behind your true feelings, and you're afraid of the judgment. You're afraid of what others may think. So no, that's not loving yourself well at all. I think for me, sitting in that chair, going through therapy, having to really sit with myself, I had to say to myself, who do you want to be? Not who you are right now, but who do you want to be? How do you want to show up for you? How do you want others to see you? You know, and not the physical outside appearance, but how do you want others to truly see you? And before I could even answer that question, I knew I had to get some real work done, you know, within myself. And that's where the light bulb started going off for me. You know, it was turning on. I was like, okay, I clearly have been going about this thing all wrong, but because I have time, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to make these changes. And so that's what I started to do.
So is it fair then to say that loving yourself well is making decisions that get you to living a life that you envision? Is that fair of what you're saying?
I think it's very much so fair. Yes. I think loving yourself well to get you to prosperity, loving yourself well to get you to destiny. You know, our bodies are our temple. And the God that I serve is a God of order, right? And so being that my life was out of order, I could not expect God to come in with these abundant blessings for me when I couldn't even see myself being a person who was worthy of the blessing. And I knew that I wanted the blessing. I knew I deserved the blessing. Yeah. But I knew that, you know, faith without works is dead. I knew that too. So I'm like, well, what am I doing? The two are not lining up, right? And so I was like, so I can't be in agreement with myself if I'm not even putting the two things together. So I knew that I couldn't just look to God and say, hey, I want to change, Lord. Lord, I need something to be different about my life, and then not walk out what I wanted to happen. No matter how that felt for me, no matter how painful that was for me, no matter how much of the reflection I had to look at in the mirror to know that I had to make these necessary changes, I had to do all of that. And it's that nitty gritty, girl. Like that was not easy. And I can understand people who have not done that yet. Okay. It's just like I tell my clients now, you know, you can come into the room, you can work out with me. I am now, you know, coaching in person as well, and teaching, you know, fitness instruction in person. And it's like, you can come in here and work hard with me. You can burn 400 calories easy. You go and eat 1,700 calories. You just undid everything you've done in this room. And now you're coming back and it's like tomorrow's your day one all over again. And you have to get to a point where that is not your story. You have to change your narrative, and it take that hard look at yourself to make that thing happen.
Toya, you said something that to me was really powerful. You talked about you didn't even feel worthy of those things. What did this journey do for you to shift that perspective of I'm not worthy to I'm walking in my inheritance? You know, how did you shift that perspective?
You know, I think once I started to see some weight fall off, that was an indicator to me that you're doing something right, Toya. And the weight was staying off and I was still dropping. And, you know, others could see the change slowly coming along. And you know how family can be. Family, girl, you lost some weight. You go home. You know, I don't live in Arkansas anymore, which is where I'm from. And so, you know, I would travel home from time to time through the years, and people could see a little bit of the weight coming off. And it's like, okay, you're doing good. You know, because family going to tell you. You know, those aunties and
honey, they will tell you more than you want
to know. Yeah, they're going to let you know what's going on with your body, honey. And so they would see the change. And so that would make me feel good. But what they didn't realize was I was doing something, I was sticking to it. discipline was building, my consistency was there, and I could see that, okay, these changes that I'm making are there. This could possibly work. Like, I'm in my mind thinking, okay, I could really kind of keep going with this, and it's like, you study for a test, you get your grade, right? Whatever you study, you're really confident in how you studied, and you get that A, and it's a sense of accomplishment. This was a sense of accomplishment for me. I needed to have this win in my life. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a place, like I said, there was a darkness at one point. I needed this win, Tenitria. I needed to know that after everything I've been through, that I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
This was for me. I wasn't doing this for anybody else. I wasn't taking care of nobody else but Toya. And
Yeah.
I needed that win for me. I needed to see that, okay, I could trust God with something. He can walk with me in this path, and then I can overcome.
Yeah.
There's one thing about the word telling you that we are victorious, that we are more than conquerors in Christ Jesus, that we are overcomers. And those things are true. But it's not just that you read it. You have to really ingest that thing. You have to let it resonate, because in the resonating of it, it's going to start to produce on the inside. And in their production, that's what came out of me. The byproduct was the weight was coming off. I was changing my eating habits. I was feeling better. I wasn't even finding myself going to a lot of restaurants. I started declining invitations to food. Like, call me when y'all get back to the house. I come over and chill with y'all, but I'm okay with the food. Like, whatever I knew I couldn't handle and I really had to overcome, I would just turn away from altogether.
Yeah.
And my family like, well, girl, you're not eating. We didn't cook this. Friends, well, you're not. No, I'm good. I'm good. And don't feel bad for me. I'm really good.
Right.
So it's one of those things where when I started to see this journey taking root, I said, oh, I got this.
So one of the things I've learned personally and professionally is consistency tends to build confidence.
Oh, yes.
And so when we are consistent with something, it's like, are you going to do that? Of course I am. I do that. That's who I am. You start to identify as a person of consistency. And, when we stop things, and this is like pretty much across the board, we don't have faith in ourselves that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. So when we start to do that, it does give you a little extra swag to, oh no, oh girl, I'm going to get up and do this. Oh, I'm going, rest assured, I'm going to do that. And so it starts to build that, that confidence. And so I would tell, everybody who's watching, that consistency is so important, because even when you don't get the hardest workout, just walking or just doing something consistently begins to train your body, begins to train your mind that I am a consistent person. And you start seeing yourself as consistent. Most people will say, I'm not consistent. You hear it all the time. Oh girl, I'm not consistent. Well, if you say that, you don't trust yourself. And so I would say, begin to find something you can do consistently. And first, I would even say, identify the things you already do consistently, because we already do something. Most of us brush our teeth every day.
Yes.
Consistently.
I don't think people stop and think about how consistent they are with certain things, even if it's bad habits, Tenitria. You're consistent. I was consistent with bad habits, but I'd show up for my friends. I'd show up for my family. I would show up for any and everything else.
Consistently. Yep.
Consistently. And so when I started showing up for me consistently, here's another kicker to that. It started changing how I was moving in life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, when you are consistent to you, and you have a goal that you are trying to obtain for yourself, and you're moving in that direction, and everything that you're doing is walking that thing out. It may mean there's less time for other people. It's less time for other things. You may change your mind about, like we talked about the palate. Yeah, the food may start tasting different, but guess what? The company you keep may start tasting different too. Okay? The place that you frequent doesn't seem the same anymore. It's a new aroma that you have. It's everything is changing. Everything is different because of that consistency. And so if I knew that I could do it negatively, I'm a very intelligent person. So I knew that, okay, if I could get myself into this, I'm going to have to do the opposite to get myself out of this, right?
Mm.
And so this journey has to, kind of reverse in a way. And so I knew I had to start doing things differently,
Hmm.
consistently, the same way I was doing them consistently to get here.
That's such a good point. I love it. And so just switching that, I made a post recently that said we can't give ourselves more time, but we can shift what we prioritize.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I think that's so true. When you start prioritizing yourself and you start making certain things priority, you seem to have time for those things. So I guess my question for you is, how do you, because you are not just the founder of FabFit, you also have another job. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a daughter. How do you find the time? Because I know when I train with you, you're like, I worked out this morning, I did my own workout, and then I'm working out with you guys tonight. And so I'm going, he's had like 15 workouts today. And and I know she went to work, and I know
Yes.
she was posting about her son being at the, how do
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
time? And you also, one of the things you really preach was make sure you're getting your rest.
Hmm.
So how did you, or how do you find the time, or navigate, not find the time, but navigate the time that you have so that you are able to show up for yourself physically, be there for your son and your husband, all of those things, and go to work
Yes,
at the
yes,
other job.
yes, yes. Sister is busy over here, okay? Busy. But early nights, early mornings is key, okay? When I say rest, I mean rest. The rest is not just for, getting in bed so you can prepare for the next day. It is really a reset. It's a reset of the mind. It's necessary to push through. But Tanitria, what I gained in this process was energy that I had never had before.
Mm.
This energy, I don't even all the time know where it comes from. Honestly, I feel like, Lord, you've increased in ways that I can't even calculate. But you're right. I do. I pace myself. I will say that I am not a machine. Okay, I do pace myself throughout my day, but my heart is so big to wanting everyone to be their best selves, basically. And
Mhm.
so I'm trying to touch everybody. I'm here, I'm there, and so in addition to being a wife, a mom, and running a business, I am also recently, I'm a wellness director at the Rappahannock YMCA here in my area.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm also a group fitness instructor there as well. So I teach classes during the week. So I'm starting early with my own classes through my business. I teach at the YMCA. And then my job as a wellness director is pretty much overseeing the wellness center within my
Wow.
YMCA. I kind of work hand in hand with our community director. And we talk about health and wellness with that. We're trying to reach out to the community for health and wellness. I take part in starting and kind of seeing through different functions of fundraisers that are happening through the YMCA. There's physical therapy that goes on within the YMCA. A lot of people don't
Wow.
even know about that. We have a division that's called
Yeah.
Fusion, where there's a lot of maybe someone who had a stroke or someone who is just going through different physical therapy because of an accident or an injury, because they're a sports, person, an athlete or something like that. So just different components that you find
Mhm.
out that, okay, I have a voice here. Almost 16 years working, within the federal government and being able to manage in different roles and manage
Mm.
people, manage budgets, it kind of all linked up when I came into this role. Like, okay, it's a different entity altogether. But it's almost like God said, listen, I'm gonna mesh your intellect with your passion.
That's beautiful.
And that's exactly what he did. And I can tell you right now, it was nobody but him that opened this door. From how it all got connected, I didn't even see how this was all going to happen, but he did it all. And I have so much fun going to work. It's nice to go and teach a class and then go back to my office and work on something else and do this and go into this meeting and talk about, oh, we're going to be doing this fundraiser. I mean, yesterday I was at the Fredericksburg Nats baseball stadium. There's a fundraiser we have coming up in June, and that was part of my day of going out there and kind of getting the scope of what we're going to be doing for that fundraiser. So fun all the time for me now. And you couldn't have even told me it was going to look like this for me 10 years ago. Okay. This is why it's so important for you not to, and those who are watching it and really listening or even catching this replay, not to sell yourself short, not to put yourself in a box. This is why the journey worked for me. I'm speaking from my own personal experience. This was a God thing for me. And when I truly gave it all to him, like he asked me all those years ago, if you just let me have it, and when I gave it to him, I did not know how it was going to all work. So that day that I was in tears, wanting to just unzip myself and walk out to someone new, walk out to someone who people could see, oh my God, she's glowing. She's truly walking in her authentic self. I'm there. I didn't see
that makes me smile so much.
There. I am there. I am there. It's a beautiful mashup. It really is. It really is.
So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment thus far?
This journey is my biggest accomplishment. It's not just the fitness, but it's who I've grown to be mentally. It's who I've grown to be spiritually. My confidence is definitely soaring. Never to be mistaken with cockiness, never to be mistaken with being conceited. I don't think anyone has ever labeled me as that. I would never say that about myself, because one thing about in my heart, in my mind, as far as how I see people and how I see the world is still the same. But how I see me is now lining up, and it has not always been there. And I think that once that confidence starts to emerge, why shut that off? Who said you had to shut that off? Who said you had to, calculate how much confidence you really want to have? No, you can go as far as you want to go with that. And I think that that's what people are drawn towards. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think, you've seen my journey. People who follow me, they know I was once a plus size girl. Girl, you was big, but you was rocking it. Yes, I've heard all of that. I'm rocking it now, but it's not in the aspect of thinking in that way. I just know I've worked really hard, really hard to get right here. And there's nothing wrong with you working really hard to get right here and being happy with what you've done.
Absolutely.
Being confident about what you've done. Who can take that away from you? No one.
Yeah.
Absolutely no one. It gave me a new voice, Tenitria. I speak highly of myself, whereas I couldn't do that before. I love who I see in the mirror every day. Every day. I don't care if the scale goes up 5 pounds or it's dropping 10. I love who I see every day because of what I've overcome. And one thing about that confidence, that discipline, it has caused me to be disciplined in so many other areas of my life where I may have been, teetering on the fence or get lazy doing this, get lazy doing that. I used to procrastinate a lot. I used to be slow. Oh, girl, my friends would just talk about LaToya. I mean, we got to give Toya this extra amount of time because she's going to be late. She's going to be slow. Those things. To now I'm like, where's everybody else? Where's everybody else? And the journey, my friends were like, okay, girl, you used to be slow, but you just sped it up a little bit now. And I think that's what it is, Tenitria, because I now want to maximize every hour of my time. You know what I mean? There's 24 hours in a day. And yes, we have time to sleep through part of that, but I want to maximize all I can do in the time that I have, because that's one thing we do not have control over. And I'm so grateful and thankful to God that he is giving me this opportunity to be able to get to this place. I do believe it's part of my destiny. I do believe it's part of my testimony to be able to reach others who may not know what to do. I'm an open book. People can talk to me. I've talked to so many people about my journey and so many different aspects of it. And I just love the fact that, when I speak to them and if they don't know me, they're like, oh my God, that doesn't look like you. Oh my God, you lost a whole person. And I'm like, 160 pounds and counting. I went from 22, 24, Lane Bryant shopper. No diss to Lane Bryant now. Okay. But being a size 8, you can shop anywhere. Okay. I remember one of my greatest my greatest accomplishments during my journey was being able to shop in Victoria's Secret and go in and get fitted for a bra. And,
Yeah.
and being able to shop in a store where it wasn't looked at like, oh, only plus size girls shop here. You know, again, not knocking anyone else. I'm telling
Right.
my story, right? So it was a big deal for me because that's all I knew from
Hmm.
adolescence to being, hitting puberty. I was a big girl. And,
Yeah.
and so being able to be in a place right now where I feel confident in who I am, just because that's the size I was, doesn't mean that's the size I wanted to be, right?
Hmm.
I had to work with what I was working with. But now I'm working with this. And this feels comfortable for me. I don't have the swelling anymore. I'm not just, having creaky knees. I mean, like you said, I work out a lot. I get on average at least 2 workouts in a day,
Hmm.
sometimes 3, depending on what I'm doing. And especially with training and coaching
Hmm.
all the time, I'm constantly moving and I'm running and I went from not even being able to do a mile to, you may see me in the summertime, girl, I'm eating those miles up. I love a good 6 or 7 miles. Somebody, oh, you want to go, let's go here in the area. You can go to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And I've done that
Mm.
whole, walk around there. It's almost 10 miles,
Wow.
and it's those things. It's being able to do what I couldn't do. Mobility
Hmm.
is everything. And when you're ever in a place where you've never been able to be mobile, being
Hmm.
able to movement is medicine. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good.
I've never had a bad lipid panel, even at the heaviest I was being. My organs were still functioning right. My heart was still good, but it was just a matter of time,
Hmm.
before these things was going to take a toll on me. But I feel like God is just kind of, giving me a second chance at all of that. And just being able to have this movement, being able to teach others how to
Yeah.
move, being able to have the freedom with my son, that I will always wanted. And I have that. And as he started to grow up, I was getting smaller and smaller, as becoming, more physically fit. And I wasn't held back by my weight anymore. I wasn't held back by my mind anymore. Oh, you can't do
Hmm.
this. You're not going to be able to do that. I wasn't held back anymore. Now I look at people and I can't hear the stories of, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, or I'm too big for that, or girl, that hurts, I'm stopping. Like I won't let it go. I will
Yeah.
not let it go. Because if I can do it, being who I was, the mindset that I was in mentally, anybody can. Anybody can.
I love this, Toya. Let me ask you this because I know you lost your dear grandmother, and it was
Mm-hmm.
actually during one of the challenges I was taking with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know her personally based on what you've shared, just, little pieces. I could tell you guys were super close. I could tell she was this really strong rock in your family.
Absolutely.
What helped you to not allow that loss to get you off of your destiny path?
Mm. So, and before I say this, I understand that death can be debilitating, for some, and there were moments in, still, my grandmother passed away January 21st. And I still have moments where, it's hard I still haven't even processed it, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
that she's gone. Because I miss her so much. But one thing I lean on, my grandmother was very strong. She was very resilient. And I lean in on that in the moments where, I felt like, okay, grandma passed away, you might want life to stop in that moment.
Hmm.
That dear person to you, whoever that is, life made nothing else matters. You are in a grieving moment. You're just like, okay, all I can think about is what just happened and how I'm processing
Right.
it internally. But for me, hearing her tell me that she was so proud of me through the process, through the journey that I went
Mm.
through, that, like, just knowing that continuing on is what would make her proud. Knowing that in that moment I lean into some of grandma's strength.
Mm.
My grandmother raised 4 daughters as a single mother. And in her lifetime, at 79 years old, she paid off a home, she paid off a car, she had some money in the bank. I remember a conversation her and I had during the pandemic, and she said, I've saved $20,000 in the pandemic. And I'm like, sis, I mean, can do share, please. And so, and on a fixed income. And I'm just looking at somebody, so like she always had an encouraging word. And I said, I cannot stop right now. Life is going to happen. And this is for anyone listening.
Yeah.
Life is going to happen. You cannot let your journey be dictated on that. Okay. I've had a lot of loss in my life, but even in those moments, I cannot lay down. I can't just say, okay, I'm done. Not yet. There's still so much more in me and so much more that's coming, so much more I'm going to do. And unfortunately, death is part of the process, and that was a physical death that was very, very near and dear to me. But there was a lot of things I had to let die prior to my grandmother passing away.
That's good.
Changes within myself, I had let some things die. As we continue to grow, something's got to fall off. Where there's new life, there's got to be some death coming somewhere. And so knowing that that's a process that's going to happen, you got to keep moving on. I would say the biggest thing for me is my faith in God, Tenitria. Like, I am so strong with that because it's been that's been my answer. It's been unchanging for me, unwavering for me. God is everything. He's our source of everything. And so when we call on him for the things that we truly need and desire, he's going to give that to us. He said, I will not withhold any good thing from you. And so I knew that there was a certain thing that I had to obtain. It was funny because I had someone tell me years ago that this journey that you're on is not just for you, that it's for others that are coming into your path. And so knowing that I'm always, one of my favorite scriptures is, Lord, be a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And so knowing that I'm walking, but I'm walking with him lighting up the space for me. And as I'm doing that, whoever's coming into this space, they still need the best of me.
Yeah.
I have to be the best to my family. I have to be the best in my business. I have to be the best on my job, but all those things are second to him. I got to be the best for God. And so I can say, this is a pandemic situation. And thank God, this household has not had COVID. I have not had COVID. I have not been sick in my body. I have not had illness come upon me in any way. And I give all glory to God for that, because it's nothing that I'm doing per se. Yes, I'm eating right. I'm sleeping, when I do have my moments now. Sis gets tired. But I truly know that God is sustaining me for what he's got me to do. And if you believe that, you have to walk that thing out. So yes, I lost my grandmother, but she was not a person who laid down. She still pressed on too. So like I said, when I lean into that, I think like, it's like, okay, grandma will keep moving. Grandma wants me to keep going, and I want to make her proud. Even now, want to make her proud.
Well, I would say, I think she's probably very, very proud. She expressed that before, and you're just a beautiful person, and you've always been such a sweetheart ever since I've been knowing you. And so again, I just want to say thank you for coming to share your journey, your wisdom. I know this helped people. I know it did. I've been inspired. I just want, and please know there may be a time in the future I may call again, because this was so good.
Yes.
I want to say thank you. I want to give you the opportunity to have people, if you're still doing personal training, let people know how they can connect with you, how they can continue that journey with you. And we'll close out with some announcements.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm on social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Fab Face is on Instagram. You can find me, LaToya Copes, on Facebook. You can go to my website, fabfitu.com. That's FABFIT, the letter U.com. And connect with me that way. Message me. If you're in the area, hit me up. My email, you can catch me at Coach Toya at fabfitu.com. Send me an email. I would love to connect with everyone. I'm here for everyone, even if it's a conversation. And I will say that your mother, Miss Sandra, who has also done my challenges, she sent me a text the other day and let me know I've lost 11 pounds, and I'm telling her business right now. And she was so excited, and she has no idea how that text warmed my heart that day. Like, to know that whatever she picked up from me and the challenges she did with me, she kept going with it. And that's all I'm looking for. It's just the smallest change. You can build on that smallest change. But yes, definitely connect with me on social media. You can find me at Fab Faces on TikTok. But I post a lot. You can see me if you're connected with me in any way, you can definitely hit me up. I post a lot, but that's because I want to keep everyone encouraged. Okay, want to keep you moving, keep you thinking about what you're doing in a day, and how that's working for you and how that's benefiting you. And if you're seeing me moving, maybe you're not moving already. Hey, get up, take the first step. That's all you got to do is take that first step.
I love it. I love it. Again, thank you guys. Go ahead, give a shout out to Toya. If this was good to you, go ahead and share this video. Tag your friends that can benefit from this. And it's not even just about weight loss. No. I think the journey itself was so powerful. And
absolutely.
When we start loving ourselves well, our whole life shifts. And so again, thank you guys. You guys know I will be back here next Thursday, minding my mental health. Go ahead, and if you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It posts live there as well. I want to give a couple announcements. I am doing All These Feelings class for children. It is from ages 7 to 16. So if you guys know of anyone between those ages who has kids, tell them to sign them up. Now, this is not a class for kids only that they're acting out or they're experiencing something specific. This is just to teach kids how to recognize their emotions, how to cope in a healthy way, and how to learn to express those feelings in a healthy way, because a lot of times we forget kids experience this life too. So when parents go through divorce, the kids are experiencing those things. When parents lose something, kids go through that. Plus, kids have their own stressors with their schoolwork and all of these different things. And so I will be doing this. The course is only $20. And all of the kids will not be at the same. It's 3 different classes based on the age groups. And so have you go ahead and sign up, register ASAP. We start April the 14th, I think, is the first class for ages 7 to 9. So again, I want you guys to register for that if you have not. If you have not liked my page, Tenitria Williams, the public figure page, go ahead and like that. Turn on the notification so you will see these Minding My Mental Health interviews every Thursday. I'm so excited. We are tearing down the stigma of mental health care in our communities, one episode at a time. Thank you, Toya. Thank you, Toya. Thank you, Toya.
Teacher, thank you.
I love you. I appreciate you. My mom did tell me that she sent you that message. She was like, I lost 11 more pounds. I was like, well, go for it, girl.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to say, I love what you are doing, Tenitria. You're putting a dent in the misconception that we in the Black and Brown community have when it comes to mental health. And you're sharing and you're involving others and you're getting the word out there. And it's not just for adults, but you're doing it for children. And I just want to say, hey, I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Okay. Thank you. I love this. It's not just about supporting your Black business, although that is important. Right. But I'm supporting you because of what you stand for and what you believe in, and yes, we've known each other for a long time through college. And I love where I see these people going, where we're friends and you see, 10 years have passed, 15 years have passed and what we're all doing. And I know we have made a mention of Jimmy earlier, Jimmy Beasley, but oh man, him and Angel are doing it. And I love what they're doing in the community. And I love what they're doing with their business and how he incorporates his family with it. Like, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Health and wealth. And that all goes hand in hand. So continue on. Kudos
to you. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Again, everybody, remember, next Thursday, we will be back here with another guest talking about minding our mental health. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.